Hey everybody, rare appearance. I totally goofed. The beginning part of this video, I deleted the files. Oops. So basically I was telling you that I'll be installing engine guards on my Royal Enfield. Spoiler alert! And I also got a fuel booster plug made by TEC to help out with my throttle response and how the bike gets fuel, or how much fuel it gets and when it gets it. Yeah, totally spazzed out, deleted the file, so you get to see my facia, my face, and I'll just tell you that that's what I'll be doing, and then you can watch the rest of the video to watch me install the booster plug and then the engine guards. Alright, sorry about that, and I had to subject you to this. Alright, thank you for watching, enjoy, let me know if you have any comments or questions, and I'll stop doing this. Alright, thank you. Time for now. Hey folks, I apologize, I guess I'm still new enough at this that I suck at it. My SD card was full, so I ended up removing the left side cover as well. Once you take the seat off, for those that don't know, there's a 4mm Allen button head bolt right here that you remove. Then this side kind of comes out on its own. There's a rubber grommet here that you then pop that side out. Then you have to pull up. Don't pull out, but pull up, because the cover has a tab that slides into here. Okay, so back to the booster. This is it. This is the brains of the operation. I'm the beauty. That's an air temperature sensor. These are the plugs that go in line with this plug. This is your AIT plug, your air intake temperature sensor plug. Basically, you unplug this, plug one end into the corresponding end, the other into the other. This part you kind of zip tie down so it's not bouncing around. And the temperature sensor, I've seen on the TEC website, they mount it right about here with a zip tie. And you want this to be picking up the air coming from inside your side cover, going past this and into the air box. They don't necessarily recommend putting it right in front of the air box. And what this does is picks up the air temperature, and then it fools the ECU into thinking that it's 10 degrees colder. Because it's colder, the air would be denser, and because of that it would put more fuel into the system. These bikes, or most bikes, but these specifically, that's what we're working on, are set up to run a bit lean. So what this will do, it's not a horsepower adder by any means. All it does is it's supposed to give the bike the appropriate amount of fuel so it's not running lean, so that you have much crisper throttle control and response at the throttle when you're on the throttle. If you're just cruising, the bike is in what's called closed loop mode, as far as I understand, and it's just drawing fuel and moving. But once you're on and off the throttle, either through the twisties or you're giving it throttle to pass someone in traffic or what have you, that's where this comes into play. Low speed and I believe high speed as well. So that being said, here we go. I'm gonna take this. These are a little small. You don't want to pull on the wires, you want to pull on the connector itself, which is nice and snug. Let me get a little screwdriver. My dad's screwdriver. There's a little tab right here. I'm just going to push in and then up. There we go. That's simple. Okay? So, next, carefully, I'm just going to clip the zip ties that are holding this together. Just make sure you don't clip the cable itself. I found all this information on TEC's YouTube channel. what I'll do is put a link in my description area for, did I sound like an old guy there, in my description area, for the video that they talk about this. So look, you obviously can't plug this into that, nor this into that, right? So this goes into there, male into female in this case, and then the other one goes in here. You just make sure to orient it the right way. You know, there's a little tab with a tab holder. I guess these days it's called Diet Coke. Huh. Come on, honey. There we go. Snap that in. Make sure they're snug. Great. Now, I take this, I feed it through. They make it long enough that some people like to mount it at the front of the tank, but they recommend putting it here, so that's what they said. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm feeding that down. I don't want to kink the cables, so just be careful. Unloop it. Alright, I'm going to attach it, and then I'll worry about snugging all the loose cables down. Let me grab some zip ties. Let me back you out a little bit, just a smidge. Alright. So now I'm taking the sensor. It's crimped around here, so that's where I'm going to put the zip tie. And I want it not up here, but to the level of the air box. In the video they point it up. I'm going to point it down. That shouldn't matter in any way, shape, or form. The idea though is more to have it in line here. Can you see? If you can't see, you just tell me. Alright, so that's that. There's a lump right here, so I'll go just below it, or I could go just above it, and it'll be certain to keep it in place. You understand what I'm saying? Now usually whenever I zip tie something, it takes me two shots. I always screw it up the first time, and I'm talking from years of experience. Let's see. Maybe my curse is broken. Ah, look at that. So that's there. Let me get it around to the side more. Okay. I think that should be all right. It's not going anywhere. So you see the sensors in line with the air that's going to come in, go into the air box, right? And it can't slide down because of the bundle right here, and it's snug enough that it's not going to spin or go anywhere. So I'm just going to clip that off, because I'm from New York. You know, let me point something out. When I installed this, I just uploaded the video about that. I put these fender washers on. You want to make sure the lip of these aftermarket air filters is snug on there, because you don't want dirt getting in behind there. It's a little hard to, because it kind of clips on in a way. But if you want to be safer, you could buy the fancier brackets they sell, or I could just run a piece of straight flat stock across here and screw it in with the same screws. Anyway, let's get back to the sensor. So my sensor's on. You don't want it near anything hot, right? Now I've got the wires up top here. That forms a nice little loop. These kind of tuck in. Let's see, how do I want to do this? You don't want it in the way of the seat, obviously. kind of pushing everything down and seeing where it wants to go on its own. There's more wires and things down here, so you don't want to pull any of those out, obviously. Let's see here. Maybe I'll do this first. Pull that out. Again, I'm trying not to twist those wires. I'd rather zip tie this thing down so it's not bouncing. Huh. Let me play with this for a minute and I'll bring you back. You don't need to see me do that. It's pretty straightforward. Alright, I'm back. It's literally like 2 minutes later. All I did was take those extra wires, bundle them together, put a zip tie around them just to hold them snug. And I tucked them in here. And then on this side, that's the brain of the booster. If you look over here, there's this little, can you see that? That little cutout right there? So that zip tie there is around the wires that go into the brain. It's not so tight as to be pinching the wires or cutting them, but it's tight enough to keep that from bouncing, which may affect it in the long run, as well as have the wires chafe against that zip tie. I'm happy with that. It's snug, right? It's there. It ain't going anywhere, but the wires are in good shape. You can kind of see how everything is kind of tucked in there. There's a bend in that wire right there, but that's fine. We'll be good. The nice thing about this is that's it. It's done. I may do the let it run for 10-minute thing, just because I know there's some mild controversy about needing to do that because the ECU is making thousands of computations a second or whatever. Maybe it's even billions. But I've had enough people mention doing things like that I've seen online who I trust their judgment, that, you know what, it doesn't hurt to do it. It doesn't hurt anything. And if anything as well, my bike is warmed up by the time it's done and I can just hop on it and go for a ride. So that's that, done. How long did that take? Next, I'm gonna do the crash bars. Let's call them engine guards. We'll do that. That's just a matter of removing 3 bolts, replacing them, tightening it down, and you're done. I'm going to keep those off because I want to put those covers on before the engine gets hot. Then I'm going to start the bike, let it run, make sure it's not doing anything funny, and then I'm going for a ride. Okay, hang on, let me set you up for the engine guards. Okay, here we are. So I need to remove this 14mm headed bolt that has a nut behind it. This bolt as well, which actually goes through the bracket, through the motor, through the other side bracket, and there's a nut on that side. And then we remove the bottom bolt like this on the other side as well, and then we install the crash bars, engine guards. Initially I was reluctant to take those bolts out, worrying that the motor might move. But I watched Stuart Fillingham's video. He's pretty up on these bikes. I like and trust his judgment. I like his channel as well. I'll leave a link to that as well, so you can see what he has to say about it. But he's under the impression, and I believe it, that there are enough other mounting points that the motor shouldn't move. So let's do that. I got an extension here and my wrench. Now you do want to be careful that you don't slip and mar your pipes, which, by the way, as I was looking down here, I noticed a little oil on the pipe there, which concerns me because that means I have a little oil leak somewhere, which you shouldn't have for a brand new bike with only a couple thousand miles on it. that one was easy enough. Now you'll see on the back side with the nut, there's a thick washer. You want to use that, reuse it. Same thing here on this bolt, there's this thick washer. You're going to want to reuse that. So just keep it all handy. Now let me loosen the top one. For this I'm going to have to put a ratchet on the other side as well. Now, the clutch cable's a little bit in the way. Let's see if I can just get it loose. I think the other side spun. So now, the tricky part. There we go. There we go. Easy enough. If I turn the wheel a little, I can get my arm in there better. Is my head in the way? So, longer bolt, again, thick washer, and then I may drop it, I may not. There's the nut. I'll be back. See, there's the nut and the thick washer, so I'm going to reuse those with the new bolts. And then there's another bottom bolt on that side. Let me go get that. Wow. When I did that, I saw some flex in the bracket that the motor actually mounts to. Hopefully that doesn't put too much stress on the weld. But again, just so you see, again, bolt, thick washer, nut. Okay, so I'll start on the left side. So I've got the left side bracket. Let me back you up a little. Now that you saw where all the nuts go, I'm one of them, I guess. All right. Just so you see, here's the bolt, the bottom one that was on the bike. Here's the new one. It's about a ½ inch longer. Should I convert that to millimeters for you? And that's because of the mounting bosses. See that? And that. So the top bolt's even longer. Hence the extra length. So I got the left side one in my hands. What I'm gonna do, and this was on Stuart Fillingham's video as well, he makes a good point, you know, because these aren't stainless, just for the sake of it not rusting or anything. I'm just gonna put a dab of grease, not on the threads though, just on the shaft. You could use anti-seize, you could use silicone grease, just something to coat it so it's not get water in there and get rusty or whatever. You do not want it on the threads, so I put a little grease on there. You can barely even see it. You don't want it on the threads because that can alter your torque spec. And speaking of torque spec, it's 33 foot-pounds of torque. Alright, so that's important to know. Here's, can you see that? The longer bolt, that's quite a bit of difference because you've got, these mounting bosses on both sides, right? So I'm gonna put the top one in first. Little grease, just a little, just enough to coat it. Consider it just a protective measure. You don't have to do this. I just like the idea of it, so I'm doing it. Again, just don't get it on the threads. I've even considered putting some blue Loctite on the threads, but I don't think it needs it because it wasn't on there from the factory. I didn't see any. So, okay, grease is on. Wipe my hands clean a little bit, and we set this in place. Oh, hang on. Thick washer. The washer goes on. This goes in place. Feed that through for the sake of it holding it in place. Then, oh, and the new longer bolt came with a lock nut, a lock washer as well. So I'm going to utilize that. There's a reason it's there. Here's the bottom bolt with the spacer, right? Put that through. All right. Now I'm gonna start bolting up the bottom nut. First the spacer again. Spacer. Having 3 hands would help, but I left my third hand at work. All right, that's on. I'm gonna start the nut. And I'm just gonna hand tighten it so it stays put and keeps this thing from wanting to fall out. Just in case you need to do any repositioning. And that hit is right there. You'll see it all the time. I plan on painting these. I'll make a video. All right, fresh battery. Let's do this. Hopefully I don't block you. So the first thing I want to do, that clutch cable's a little bit in the way, so I'm just going to feed that in. And I want to get that top bolt in place, top bracket in place. That's going to be a little tricky. Let me switch sides. I'll hold that in from one side. Carefully feed that in. You know, clutch cable looks like it has to go under. You always want to go where everything is kind of easiest, right? So now I've got my thick washer. That's going to go on. There's quite a bit of thread showing. Lock washer, that'll take up some of that thread as well. And then the nut. We'll get that started. So these longer bolts came with their own nuts, but you can reuse those or use the ones that came with it, or reuse the stock ones. And finally, the longer bottom bolt. Put a dab of grease on the shaft like the other one. Again, just for corrosion resistance. That's one thing I love about living in New Mexico. There's no rust for the most part. All right, and this is going to go through the bottom. Oh, I forgot see? You distracted me. That's it, I'll blame you guys. Let's take that out. Come on, honey. Uh-oh. I mean, no, not oh, it's no big deal, but that bolt is in there now. Kind of jammed up a little. There we go. And by the way, I don't feel like the motor moved at all. Like there's no resistance. The bolt's just pulled in and pulled out. Okay, thick washer is on one side, thick washer on the other side. Nut. So what I want to do, I'm going to start snugging up the top one because I snugged up a little too tight the one on the bottom here, and I feel it binding a little bit, and I don't want it to bind at all. There we go. So I'm gonna gently gently snug the top one up, and then the bottom ones. You know, I'm just looking at the nuts. The stock ones look like they may be stainless, so I'm going to take this top one out and put the stock one back in, because I think I put the new one in and might as well go with stainless. I may be wrong. I may be right. Let's see here. Easy enough. All right, there we go. See, that's pretty easy. Now, let me start tightening this up, and then we'll see what we got. That's the right position. That's in the right position. Alright, that needs quite a bit of tightening up. I'll go from here. Okay. Clutch cable. Now again, I'm just tightening it so it gets snug. And then we get the torque wrench. That's quite a bit. Am I on that nut? You'd tell me, right, if I wasn't? There we go. Maybe. There we go. I almost feel like it bottomed out. That's a lot of thread left there, huh? All right, let's do... See, there's a little play. But now I can put my wrench on here and just kind of snug that up. Careful not to scratch the pipes. Okay? So it's snug. I mean, it's got to be torqued, but it's snug. Here, let me show you something. So the top bolt isn't snug yet. I mean, it's, you know, hand snug, but it needs to be torqued. That's touching. So I wonder, when this took a hit, it got pushed in too. But I'm hoping when I snug that up here, it'll pull it out just a little. If not, I'll decide what I'm gonna do about that. Let me get my torque wrench. I'll bring you right back. All right, torque wrench. For those that you don't know, This one's a foot-pounds. On the other side it's got kilograms, right? Basically, I don't know if you can make that out, but this starts at 10, and then the dial here has 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. to 9, and then the next 10 is 20 pounds, 30, etc. You loosen the bottom, spin this in to get the poundage you want. Now, I want 33. However, I haven't used this in a while. It's cold. I've always been taught that they need to be primed a little bit, so to speak. What I do is I'll leave it at 10, snug these up and click it a few times at 10, and then I'll go up to 20, and then I'll go up to 33, and by then it should be ready, right? So I'm leaving it where it is at 10. I'm gonna put, the extension doesn't affect the torque spec. And I want to see if it's gonna tighten that up. And you want to torque the nut side, not the head of the bolt side. So you want to grab this at the end and nice even turns. I think that the threads on that bolt have bottomed out and you can't tighten that anymore. That's what's going on there. I don't like that. And I see too, it has not pulled away from the case. What that means is I need another washer there. So that bolt's too long basically. I need another washer here, and I think I'm going to put one on the inside over there to bring that guard out a little. Let me check my stash. I'll be back. Alright, let me show you what I'm doing. I found some washers. They're not as thick as that, but I found a couple of chrome ones and this bigger one. I'm going to put this bigger one here and then this thicker one, right? But then I want to put one of these chrome washers behind here to space this out a little so it's not touching. It definitely took a hit. It should be alright, but I just wanted to put these on now, and then like I said, when the new one comes in, it might take a couple months. I'll put the new one on and hopefully that'll be made properly. Won't have taken a hit. I'm taking this bottom bolt out just to make this easier. The other thing putting these washers are, besides spacing it out on this side, is it's going to take up some of the threads on the other side, and then I'll probably add an extra washer on that side too, just to be on the safe side. Alright, so like I said, extra washer on the outside here, and then I want to put this one washer here. That might be enough. I might need a second. We'll see. Just gotta find the hole. There it is. I found it. And it looks like that's probably going to do the trick. Putting the bottom one back in. The thick washer on the back. The nut. Right, let me see how that works out. You don't have to watch all of that. You get the idea, right? Any questions? Let me know. Okay, this is where I'm at. I had originally put one extra washer in the front and two in the back. I ended up putting all three in the back here and one behind the bottom one, because now it's kind of, I have a little bit of a gap there. Can you see that? It's ever so slight, but they're not touching. I don't want them touching. They shouldn't be touching, because if you look at the other side, you see that big gap there? Now, I have a feeling these are not Royal Enfield bars. I think these are an aftermarket company's bars, and I didn't realize that when I bought them. But this will do. These are all the bolts are snug. They're not torqued down. I'm going to do that next. But that's good enough. Where I have several millimeters of space. I'm okay with that. And yeah. So let me torque it down now. Torque it down now. Funk Soul Brother. Let me bring you on this side so you can see the torquing in action. Alright. They look cool though, huh? Don't they? I like them. Alright, so like I said, I have my torque wrench set on 10 pounds. We need 33 total. So I'm gonna hold on to this bolt from that side and start gently and smoothly. I have a feeling I may need a second nut on there. It's not clicking like it should. Let's see. I'm on 10. Let's try the bottom ones. Partially it might be my position. Maybe my extension's a little too long, so I'm getting a little too much torque on it, or at a weird angle. Because that felt to me like more than 10 pounds. I've been doing this a decent amount of times. I can sort of tell. Helps when I have the socket on there, though, doesn't it? I'm like, I've been doing this for a long time, and then I forget the socket. On this side, I can't get the torque wrench on the nut, so I'm torquing the head of the bolt. Okay, that clicked. See that? Click, click, that's 10. Let me do the other side at 10. When you torque stuff, you definitely want a nice, even pull. And it's got to be straight, like you don't want to be at an angle. Did you see that? Huh, I don't like how much thread is sticking out of there still. I have to be honest. But let's see if it feels any different right now. I'm gonna need the longer extension on that side. Alright, let's see where I'm at. That's on. That's not enough. But it'll still be shorter with these two shorter extensions. That's definitely a 10. Alright. So I used it a bit. I'll go up to 20. So I turn this one full turn around. I don't know if you can see. That says 20. Lock it in. And then let's go. I'm not getting a click. Let me do the bottom. It's snug, like it's okay. It's a important torque value. I just have to do it a different way. It would help if I had a second person. I don't. Nice positive click. All right, up to 33. 33. Let's go. I'll do this bottom. There we go. 33. Yeah, you don't want to not have good torque on your engine mounting bolts. I'm not getting it. It's just clicking. Just clicking. Let me try something else. There we go. All right. It's because I'm right-handed too. That's definitely got a lot to do with it. So I don't have as much control with my left hand to hold it in place. Let's see if I can do it like this. I'm gonna have to stand in front of the camera for a sec. Pardon me. There we go. 33. All right. Torqued. Let's look at it together. Let's check out the one on the other side. See if it still has the gap or not. Hang on, I want to put you on my holder here. Look at that. Even more of a gap. Can you see that? Beautiful. So, one side. I'm all out of breath. What the hell is that all about? The other side. I think they're really sharp looking. Unlike most engine guards that like stick out, which may be good for like a cruiser. But this gives me a little peace of mind, because when I'm going around those big turns at like my major 5 or 6 degrees of lane angle, because I'm a monster, you know. Okay, what I want to do now, I'm going to take a little carb cleaner and a rag, wipe all the grease off of and fingerprints off of the pipes and the bars. Then let's start it, see how it sounds, and then pop the seat on, go for a ride, and then I'll come back and I'll give you my opinion. All right, hang on. All right, before I start it up, one of the main reasons I wanted that is I live a mile up. I'm in Albuquerque area. We're 5,000 feet. Things get less air. They run rich as it is, but this would compensate to some extent. But nonetheless, it still needs a little help. With the K&N filter, it definitely woke up. It's getting more air, which it needed. But I noticed in top gear on the highway, if I crack the throttle, the bike lumbers to go faster. If I keep it in 5th with really high RPMs, and put it in 6th, then it'll go. So I'm hoping this booster will alleviate that problem. Another thing I should have mentioned when installing that, you absolutely do not want to turn that key on when you do not have everything connected. Otherwise you'll get a fault and you'll have to go to a dealer and have them clear it for you. At least that's what I've been told. Okay, moment of truth. Enough talking. Key on. Alright. Start. The check engine light went off, so that's good. Sounds okay. I don't hear any weirdness. It didn't not start, so that's good. Right? Huh. Alright. It's that simple. I'm going to button that up. I'm going to get dressed and I'm going to go for a ride. I will tell you my impressions when I get back. Alright. Bye for now. Well, it's 2 hours later. Actually, it's more than 2 hours later. It's maybe 4 hours later. But I rode for 2 hours. It took me an hour to get to where I was going and an hour to get back. I would say that everything is good. When I put in the K&N air filter in this bike, it woke up. It became a throttle monster, as in very, very, very responsive. And it seems with this power booster, whatever teeny tiny hesitation may have been left has cleared up. I can't say that it's made some immense, crazy, completely changed the bike, but I will say that the bike is just super smooth now, super responsive. Again, a lot of that was with the new air filter, but I feel that the power booster has just smoothed everything out, so everything's just more balanced. And I'm very happy I did it. And the crash bars, they just look good, and they're very low profile, which is really neat too, right? So, all right, thank you for watching. I just want to say I appreciate everybody that's been watching and commenting and subscribing. And if you would please just subscribe. I mean, what the heck, right? And if you don't like it, you can unsubscribe at some point. But I do appreciate it. I'm doing this for fun, and it gives me someone to talk to while I'm working. And maybe I can teach you something. Maybe some people have taught me a few things as well in the comments. I'm always open to learning new stuff. Like I said, I'm no master anything. I just love working on my bikes, and I've learned a few things over the years. I'm still learning. So that being said, have a great night, rock and roll, and until next time, thanks everybody. I appreciate it. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye bye.